Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I pray that you're all well. I've just been thinking about something to do with how we give da'wah. I've just been thinking about a way of looking at the da'wah at the moment that might resonate with any of you guys who are doing da'wah. So basically, right, like, it's like this. Okay, well, I've been thinking about this ever since we had like an open mosque day or whatever here in Cornwall, and someone came along and like asked a really sort of charged question and was like yes or no. Like, he only wanted a yes or no answer. And I've been thinking about this sort of an analogy, so hopefully it resonates with you guys, because I might even start some of my conversations with non-Muslims with this, even. So let me know your thoughts on it. So basically, imagine you'd spent your whole life growing up in a country where the media was always talking about how evil cars are. You know, how they're going to take us back to the Stone Age, how they don't make any sense, how they're so difficult to come to terms with. Some people even abandon driving, you know, because it's so expensive. Because cars always break down, cars always leave people stranded on the edge of the road. You know, cars always they're you know, I don't know, they're not reliable. They have logical inconsistencies. They're you know, we hear this all of our lives, right? And even though some people say, give cars a chance, you know, some people say that. Some liberal people say that. Some people who are sort of soft a little bit towards the cars, they'll say, you know, even though that does exist, right? Still, the media has told us all of our lives in the background that cars are always having these wars and cars are uncivilized. And then, so you've got all that backdrop, right? And then one day, someone comes to someone who is an advocate for cars, okay? Someone comes along who's an advocate for cars, and then someone who is not comes up to them and says, is it true that cars have 3 pedals and we've only got 2 feet? Oh, that won't make any sense. Yes or no? The cars have 3 pedals and we've only got 2 feet. Yes or no? You know, and then you start explaining, well, this is how the clutch works, this is how clutch control works. But they're like, no, you're beating around the bush. Yes or no? The cars have 3 pedals. And you end up having to say, well, yeah, they do have 3 pedals, but if you give me an opportunity to explain, then yes. I mean, you know, you work on your clutch control and then you take off the handbrake and then you can move and you use one of the pedals to brake when you need to brake, but you're not afforded that. Okay, so you're trying to explain something as complicated as a car to somebody, okay? This person who's been influenced so much by being told that cars are not good, being told that cars are evil somehow, right? So that's kind of how I perceive da'wah. That's kind of how I perceive the question. So how do we learn from that, right? Like, imagine that situation where we have cars, okay? And most of the world has been told through their media their whole life that cars don't belong here, that cars have come here and they're trying to invade and change our way of life. You know, we've got roads running through all of our cities now. We've got fuel stations popping up all over the place. You know, our local church has been turned into a fuel station. You know, they're all over the place, okay? Like, if we had that situation, how would we learn from it? Well, we wouldn't go about our life. We wouldn't go about our life opening up our garages and saying, come along and ask us whatever you like about cars. Because we're already on the back foot. Everybody's going to come along, and they already know that they don't like cars, and they're going to come along and say, yes or no. Do you need to hold the steering wheel, and work the gears, and do the indicators, and beep the horn, and do the handbrake? You know, they're going to come along and ask all of those things. Oh, but we've only got 2 hands. Oh, that will never work. Oh, is the steering wheel on the right hand side, but you've got to drive in the middle of the road? You'll never be coordinated with that. That'll never work. It works. We're the people who know it works, right? But we wouldn't work like that. We wouldn't open up our garages and let people come and just criticize our cars like that, you know, because we know that they work. We know that they're good for us, actually. We know that they offer many, many benefits, right? We get places quicker. We get places actually more safely, right? And actually, we have a lot to thank these cars for, and we have a lot to thank these fuel stations for, and we have a lot to thank these garages for, right? And they have a positive impact on our communities, actually. We wouldn't we'd want to take back the discourse, which is what we need to do in our da'wah. We need to take back the discourse and say, no, look, like, what we've been like taught from the offset, the playing field is false. So we need to correct people's understanding of the car before we explain the intricacies of the car. See what I mean? Like, we need to begin the discussion by saying, well, let me explain to you what Islam is, for a start, before we ask questions about, you know, why can you have... Why is polygamy permissible in Islam, or why are there punishments in the Sharia, or, you know, all these things which are valid questions, right? Like the children at the mosque that I teach, they ask these questions, but they come from a position of understanding a car, right? So like they're more likely to have a correct and balanced understanding of it because they understand the car. You know, someone who actually understands that cars can offer benefits and cars, you know, there's different types of cars and, you know, and whatever else, right? There are cars that, you know, there are cars that are good to fit into this thing, cars that are good to fit in that thing, right? Like, they come from that background of understanding that, so they're in a better position to understand the gearbox. They're in a better position to understand clutch control. They're in a better position to, you know, understand all the other intricacies of the car. So it's pointless to explain to someone in their first lesson, their first driving lesson, how the gearbox works, you know, if they don't believe that cars are a good thing. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on dawah. I mean, it's not in line with the normal content of my YouTube channel. That's why I'm uploading it like in the morning when probably the only people who click on it are the people who are interested in it. You know, we'll be back to Somali language stuff soon. Yeah, because that's the usual content stuff from the channel. Documenting the journey. I will be fluent in Somalia one day, inshallah. So please make dua for me. Please make dua, more importantly, for all of the du'at of this ummah. You know, all of the brothers on YouTube or whatever who are doing da'wah, who are calling people to Islam, who are calling people to Tawheed, upon the correct understanding of Islam. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take it easy, and I hope you guys all have a very nice day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.